こえるかね、諸君。君の魂の奥底からのか細い、しかし切実な叫びが、このままでは終わりたくないわが人生、こんなはずではなかったという。その声が、なぜ、君は今、このわしの話を聞こうとしておるのか。それは、心のどこかで気づいているからではないか。君の人生が、本来あるべき輝きを失っているということに、断じて許さん。君という存在は、そんな惰性の中で錆びついていくために、この世に生まれてきたのではない。なぜ、君は今、このわしの話を聞こうとしておるのか。何を求めて、この画面の前に座っておるのか。それは、心のどこかで気づいているからではないか。君の人生が、本来あるべき輝きを失っているということに、毎日が同じことの繰り返し、昨日と同じ今日、そしてどうせ今日と同じ明日が来るのだろうと、漠然とした不安と諦めに心を支配されてはいないか。朝、重い体を引きずって起き上がり、夜、疲れた心を引きずって眠りにつく。その繰り返しの果てに、一体何があるというのだ。断じて許さん。君という、この宇宙にたった一人しかいない尊い存在が、そんな惰性の中で錆びついていくために、この世に生まれてきたのではない。いいか、よく聞け。君が今まで変われなかったのは、君が弱いからでも、運が悪いからでもない。その努力が足りなかったからでもない。ただ、知らなかっただけなのだ。人生を根底から劇的に、そして確実に好転させる、たった一つの絶対的な法則を、今日、わしはそのすべてを、君の魂に直接、叩き込んでやる。心して聞くがよい。その、君の運命の扉を開く秘密の鍵。その法則とは、一日は一生である。この言葉を、ただの綺麗な標語だと思うてはならん。これは、君の心臓の鼓動よりも、呼吸する空気よりも、確かな真実なのだ。君が今、この瞬間に送っている一日が、君の一生の寸分違わぬ縮図なのだ。今日の君の姿が、まさしく、君の全人生の姿そのものなのである。わしは森信三、一回の教育者として、生涯を教団と全国の行脚に捧げてきた男じゃ。今日は諸君に、わしが、この身をもって掴み取った、この唯一絶対の真理を授けたい。信じられんか。では、わしの話を聞きたまえ。わしが33、4の頃じゃった。学問の道に没頭するあまり、来る日も夜を日に継いで書物を読み漁っておった。死を求める渇きは、若いうちから異常なほどじゃったからな。その無理がたたってな。ある日、わしの目は、急にかすみ始めた。最初は疲れ目だろうと高をくくっておった。じゃが、日に日に、その霧は濃くなるばかり。慌てて医者に駆け込むと、無情な言葉が突きつけられた。このままでは、失明しますと、ぞっとした血の気が引くとは、このことじゃ。一瞬、世界から音が消えた。光を失う。この世の美しい景色も、愛する者の顔も、そして何より、我が命とも思っていた書物さえも、二度と見ることはできなくなる。その時の、底知れぬ恐怖と絶望、わかるかね、諸君。わしは、己の積み上げてきたもののあまりの脆さに、愕然とした。地位も、名誉も、わしがこれまで詰め込んできた知識も、光を失った永遠の暗闇の前では、何の価値もない、人海に等しいではないか。わしは、己の愚かさを呪い、運命を呪った。来る夜、わしは、いつ訪れるとも知れぬ暗闇に怯えながら、一つのことを、ただひたすらに考え続けた。人生とは、一体何なのだ。と、我々は何のために生まれ、どこへ行こうとしておるのだ。と、わしは書物に救いを求めた。じゃが、あれほど心を震わせた西田先生の哲学も、心の支えとした二宮高の領の言葉も、この失明の恐怖の前では、どこか遠い世界の出来事のようにしか響かなかった。知識は、体験という裏打ちがなければ、無力なのだ。それを、 骨身に染みて思い知らされた。その絶望の淵で、来る日も来る日も考え抜いた末に、ある夜、雷に打たれたように、はっと気づいたのだ。わしが失うと怯えている明日という光は、もとより誰にも約束されたものではないのだ。と、我々人間は、今日という一日を生きるのが精一杯の、か弱い存在ではないか。にもかかわらず、いつまでも明日が、来年が、10年後が続くと信じ込み、今日という、二度と戻らぬ、かけがえのない一日を、いかに愚かにしてきたことか。そうだ、人生は二度ないのだ。この当たり前の、しかし、誰もが忘れ去っている厳粛な事実が、わしの魂のど真ん中に、灼熱の鉄を押し当てられたように刻み込まれた。人生二度なし、この悟りを得たとき、わしの心は不思議な静けさに包まれた。失明の恐怖は、消えはせん。じゃが、その恐怖の意味が変わったのじゃ。たとえ明日、光を失おうとも、今日という一日を、我が全身全霊で生ききれば、そこに悔いはない。いや、悔いなど、あろうはずがない。そこからじゃ、わしの本当の人生が始まったのは、そこから、わしは知ったのだ。一日を制する者だけが、一生を制することができる。一日をおろそかにする者は、一生をおろそかにする。これこそが、人生における、唯一絶対の法則なのだと。さあ、諸君、もう一度。君は、君の一生そのものである今日という一日を、どう生きるつもりか。漫然と過ごし、不平不満に時を費やし、ただ置いていくのを待つつもりか。断じて、ならん。君の人生は、そんなちっぽけなものではないはずだ。君の魂の奥底には、無限の可能性が、燃え盛るマグマのように眠っているのだ。今こそ、その封印を解き放つ時が来たのだ。では、どうすればいいのか。どうすれば、この一日を、一生分の価値ある一日に変えることができるのか。わしが、その具体的な方法を、三つ、授けよう。これは、わしが90年以上の人生をかけて、血と汗と涙の中から見つけ出した、実践の様態じゃ。理屈ではない。ただ、黙って、今日から、今から、実行したまえ。それだけでいい。それだけで、君の人生は、根底から、そして劇的に好転し始めることを、この森信三が、我が命にかけて保証する。まず、第一に、何よりも先に、やらねばならぬことがある。それは、腰骨を立て、腹を据えて、現実に向き合いなさいということじゃ。なんだ、そんなことか、と思うたか。その甘さが、君の人生を蝕む元凶なのだ。いいか、人間の精神の堕落、運気の衰退は、すべて、姿勢の崩れから始まるのだ。猫背になり、肩を落とし、うつむいて歩いてみろ。それだけで、心は萎え、気力は失せ、あらゆる物事が悪い方へと転がり始める。なぜか、それはな、君という存在が、大いなる宇宙の生命エネルギーの流れから、断絶されてしまうからじゃ。背骨は、天と地を結ぶアンテナなのだ。それが曲がっていては、天からのインスピレーションも、地からの力強いエネルギーも、受け取ることができんのだ。わしは若い頃、学問の世界で孤立した。当時の主流であった京都学派とは相入れず、どこにもわしの居場所はなかった。発表する論文はことごとく無視され、行く先々で浴びせられるのは霊障ばかり。行く人のなき、これの道かもそう呼んで、己の非力と孤独に打ち震える夜も、一度や二度ではなかった。先の見えぬ不安、押し寄せる焦り、そして屈辱。そんな時、わしをかろうじて支えてくれた者こそ、この律用の実践じゃった。どんなに心が折れそうになっても、ぐっと腰に力を入れ、背筋を天に突き上げるように伸ばす。顎を軽く引き、下腹、すなわち丹田に、地球の中心とつながるような意識を置く。やってみたまえ。今すぐ、どうだ。胸が開き、呼吸が深くなり、視線が自然と上がらなかったか。心の奥から、静かだが、 確かな力が湧き上がってくるのを感じないか。これが腹を据えるということじゃ。形を正せば心もまた定まる。これは心神相関の動かすことのできぬ真理なのだ。分かってはいるが、気づくとまた猫背になっているというか、それでいいのだ。大切なのは完璧であることではない。気づいた瞬間に何度でも立て直すことじゃ。その立て直す回数こそが、君が本気で人生を変えようとしている意識の高さの証明なのだ。一日に100回気づけば、100回立て直せばよい。その繰り返しが、やがて無意識の習慣となり、君の心身を不動の砦へと変えていく。現代は、情報があふれ、心が乱れやすい。スマホの小さな画面に一日中釘付けになり、首は前にしだれ、背中は丸々、デスクワークで体は固まり、心もまた、内へ内へと縮こまっていく。将来への不安、人間関係の悩み、尽きることのない欲望、それらの嵐に飲み込まれ、多くの者が自分の人生の舵を見失っておる。そんな時、小手先の解決策に飛びつく前に、まず、己の姿勢を正したまえ、腰骨を立てよ。それこそが、どんな嵐の中でも決して揺らがぬ、君自身の心の怒りを下ろす、唯一の方法なのだ。現実から目を背けてはならん。君が今、直面している問題、それがどんなに困難なものであっても、それこそが君にとっての真理なのだ。わしは33歳の時、二宮貴則公の矢話の一節に出会い、長年の学問的迷いから解放された。それはが教えは書籍を尊まず、故に天地をもって教門とす。これじゃ、と思った。真理は、高尚な書物や、学者の頭の中にだけあるのではない。この天地、この現実そのものが、生きた教門なのだ。君が今、立っている。その泥まみれの現実の中にこそ、君を成長させる、かけがえのない宝が埋まっているのだ。腰骨を立て、腹を据えよ。そして、その目で、その体で、君の現実と真っ向から対峙するのだ。逃げるな。それこそが、一日を、いや、一生を、力強く生き抜くための、すべての始まりなのである。さあ、精神の土台はできたかな。腰骨を立て、腹が据わったならば、次に進もう。第二の教えは、こうじゃ。時を守り、場を清め、礼を正し、日々の実践を積み重ねなさい。これもまた、当たり前のことだと思うたか。諸君、人生に、奇跡の裏技など存在しない。人生という壮大な建築物を打ち立てるには、一個一個のレンガを寸分の狂いもなく丹念に積み上げていくしかないのだ。そして、その一個一個のレンガこそが、時を守り、場を清め、礼を正すという、日々の地道な、しかし何よりも尊い実践なのである。時を守る。約束の時間に遅れない。当たり前じゃ。だが、わしが言う時を守るとは、それだけではない。時間は、命のかけらなのだ。君の一日は、1440個の分という命のかけらでできている。君がそれをどう使うかが、君が自分の命をどう扱っているかの、何よりの証拠なのだ。5分の時間を生かせぬ程度の人間に、大したことはできぬ。わしはそう考えておる。君は、一日の中に、どれだけ無駄な時間があるか、自覚しておるか。ぼんやりとテレビを眺める時間、意味もなくスマホをいじる時間、それだけではないぞ。終わったことをくよくよと後悔する時間、まだ来ぬ未来をあれこれと心配する時間、これらこそが、君の生命時間を盗む、最大の時間泥棒なのだ。一日は一生なのだぞ。その一日の中の5分は、君の一生のうちの、かけがえのない一部なのだ。時間を制する者が、人生を制する。今日から、時間を生命そのものとして、敬い、大切に扱いたまえ。次に、場を清める。君の部屋は、きれいか。君の机の上は、整っておるか。心が乱れている人間の住む場所は、必ず、乱雑である。環境は、 君の心を映す鏡なのだ。逆に言えば、場を清めることで、君の心を清めることができるのだ。部屋の掃除とは、心の掃除なのだぞ。不要なものを捨てることは、君の心にこびりついた執着や、古い考え方を捨てることにつながる。窓を開け、風を通すことは、君の心によどんだエネルギーを追い出し、新しい運気を呼び込むことにつながる。場を清めるということはな、神様やご先祖様をお迎えする準備をすることと同じなのだ。清められた場には、清らかな気が集まり、良き人、良き縁、良き運が自然と引き寄せられてくる。わしが神戸大学におった頃の話じゃ。赴任してすぐ、わしは、毎日、誰に言われるでもなく、大学の長い廊下の紙くず拾いを始めた。わしは教授じゃ。中には、そんなことは用務員さんの仕事だろうと、いぶかしげに見る者も、陰で笑う者もおった。森先生も変わったことをなさると、遠巻きに見ておるだけじゃ。正直に言えばな、わしだって、毎日楽しいわけではなかった。時には、なぜわしがこんなことをという虚しい気持ちが湧いてくることもあった。じゃが、その度に、いや、これは我が心を磨く修行なのだと、自分に言い聞かせて続けた。すると、どうなったと思う？一月経ち、三月経ち、半年も経つ頃には、あれだけ汚れていた大学の廊下から、ぴたりと、ゴミが消えたのだ。わしの姿を見ていた学生や、同僚たちが、最初は見て見ぬふりをしていた者たちまでが、自らゴミを拾い、また、ゴミを捨てなくなったからじゃ。どうだ、諸君、これが、実践の力なのだ。実行しない人には到底わからない世界が限りなくあるものです。言葉で百点説教するよりも、たった一つの黙々たる実践が、場を清め、人の心を変えるのだ。大きなことを成し遂げたいと願う前に、まず、君の足元のゴミを拾いたまえ、君の部屋を感謝を込めて吐き清めたまえ。その、一見、小さく見える行いが、君の運命を浄化し、幸運を引き寄せる、強力な磁場を作り出すのだ。そして、礼を正す。挨拶は、人間関係の基本じゃ。おはようございます。ありがとうございます。申し訳ありませんでした。この、当たり前の言葉を、心から、相手の目を見て、はっきりと言えるか。礼とは、形だけのものではない。相手の存在そのものへの、敬意と感謝の表れなのだ。そして、言葉には言霊が宿る。君が心から発したありがとうの一言は、感謝のエネルギーとなって場に広がり、相手の心を温め、巡り巡って、必ず、何倍にもなって君のもとへ帰ってくる。逆に、不機嫌な挨拶、心のこもらぬ会釈は、その場の空気を凍らせ、人間関係をこじらせ、君自身の運気を下げる。無礼とは、人間関係の気の流れをせき止めるダムのようなものだ。礼を正すことで、そのダムは取り払われ、気の流れは円滑になり、不要な争いを避け、必要な助けを得ることができる。君が発した敬意のエネルギーは、必ず、敬意となって君に返ってくる。これもまた、宇宙の法則なのだ。時を守り、場を清め、礼を正す。この三つを、どうだ、今日から、いや、この話を聞き終えた瞬間から、徹底して実践できるか。今日は疲れているから、まあいいか。昨べは寝不足だったから、明日からにしよう。その、たった一度の例外が、すべてを台無しにするのだ。例外を作ったら、ダメですぞ。決めたら、石にかじりついても、やり遂げる。その不退転の決意が、君の怠惰な心を打ち砕き、新しい人間へと生まれ変わらせるのだ。この地道な実践の一つ一つが、君の一日を、そして君の一生を、盤石なものとして築き上げていくのである。そしてな、諸君、この実践の日々を、さらに豊かに、深くするために、もう一つ、忘れてはならんことがある。それは、読書じゃ。読書は心の食物だと、わしは言い続けてきた。君は毎日、体を養うために食事をするだろう。では、心を養うための食事を、 君は取っておるか。情報や娯楽ではないぞ。君の魂を震わせ、君の人生の指標となるような本物の心の食物じゃ。読書と花、数百年、数千年の時を超えて、歴史上の偉人や賢人と直接対話をすることなのだ。たった数百円、数千円で、プラトンや孔子、カントや道元の教えを、好きな時に、好きなだけ聞くことができる。これほど贅沢なことが、他にあるだろうか。領書の一行が、君の一日を変え、君の一生を、根底から覆すほどの力を持つことがある。わしが二宮貴則公の言葉に救われたようにだ。だが、ただ読むだけではダメだ。ぼんやりと文字を追うだけでは、栄養にはならん。その著者が、何を命がけで伝えたかったのかを、真剣に読み解こうとすること。そして、その教えを、どうすれば自分の今日一日の実践に生かせるのかを、常に問いながら読むことじゃ。読書と実践。この二つは、車の両輪なのだ。どちらが欠けても、人生はまっすぐには進まん。一日に、たとえ15分でもいい。心を静めて、先人の知恵に触れる時間を作りたまえ。その静かな時間が、君の一日に深みを与え、君の人生を、豊穣なものへと導いてくれるであろう。さて、諸君、ここまで、ついてこれておるかな。腰骨を立て、腹を据えて現実に向き合う覚悟はできたか。時と場と礼を正し、日々の実践を積み重ねる決意は固まったか。だがな、諸君、人生は、それだけでは終わらん。どんなに覚悟を決め、どんなに真面目に実践を重ねようとも、我々の人生には、理不尽なこと、辛いこと、どうにもならぬ悲劇が、容赦なく襲いかかってくる。やめ、別離、裏切り、貧困、老い、そして、死。そんな時、我々はどうすればいいのか。どうやって、その絶望の嵐を乗り越えればいいのか。わしは、その答えも、身をもって知っておる。だからこそ、最後の、そして最も深遠な教えを、諸君の魂に、直接、注ぎ込もう。第三の教え。それは、絶対必然。即、絶対最善。人生に起こるすべてのことは、絶対に必然であり、かつ、それは絶対に最善なのだと、心の底から受け入れなさい。ということじゃ。これは、ただの気休めや、楽観主義ではない。これこそが、人生の苦悩から完全に解放され、大いなるものに抱かれて生きるための、究極の境地なのだ。だが、誤解してもらっては困る。この境地は、甘いものではない。むしろ、血を吐くような苦闘の果てに、ようやくたどり着けるかどうかの、瞬間な頂なのだ。わしは、77歳の時、人生で最大の悲劇に見舞われた。事業に失敗した長男が、その苦悩の末に、41歳の若さで、自ら命を絶ったのじゃ。わかるかね。この悲しみと絶望が、我が身を引き裂かれるとは、このことじゃ。手塩にかけて育てた息子に、わしは一体、何を教えてきたというのだ。なぜ、救ってやれなかったのか。わしは、言語に絶する悲嘆のどん底に突き落とされ、深い自責の念に苛まれた。すべてを投げ出し、たった一人、質素な家で、一人飯を食らう生活を始めた。神も仏もあるものか。と、天を呪った夜はかずしれん。夜中に、息子の名を呼んで、何度も目が覚めた。来る日も来る日も、息子の幻影が、わしを責め立てるのじゃ。生きていても、何の希望もない。ただ、灰色の時間が、音もなく、わしの命を削り取っていくだけじゃった。絶対必然、即、絶対最善などという言葉は、偽善にしか聞こえんかった。この悲しみの、どこが最善だというのだ。じゃがな、そんな暗黒の日々の中で、わしは、それでも、これまで自分が教えてきたことを、ただ黙々と実践し続けた。腰骨を立て、場を清め、書物を読んだ。そして、何年も経ったある日、ふと、一つの思いが、静かに、しかし、確かな光のように、 わしの心に差し込んできたこの出来事すらも、わしの人生にとっては必然であったのではないか。そして、この筆舌に尽くしがたい苦しみがあったからこそ、わしは人の悲しみの本当の深さを知ることができたのではないか。この地獄を経験したからこそ、わしの言葉は本当に苦しんでいる人の魂に届くようになったのではないか。そうだ、この出来事もまた、わしの人生を完成させるために、なくてはならぬ、絶対必然の出来事だったのだ。そう思うたとき、不思議なことに、あれほど重くのしかかっていた悲しみが、すっと軽くなり、息子の魂が、わしを許し、励ましてくれているようにさえ感じられた。辛い、悲しい、それは、変わらん。しかし、その出来事の奥に、大いなるものの、深く、そして慈悲に満ちた配慮があったのだと、受け入れることができたのだ。これが、絶対必然、即、絶対最善の境地じゃ。諸君、君の人生にも、思い出したくもない過去、許せない人間、乗り越えられそうにない困難があるやもしれん。じゃがな、それらすべては、君という人間を、より深く、より強く、より優しくするために、宇宙が用意した最高の贈り物なのだ。無駄なことなど、一つもない。偶然など、一つもない。すべては、君が成長するために、完璧なタイミングで、完璧な形で、起こっているのだ。この真理を、魂で受け入れたまえ。その時、君は、過去の呪縛から解き放たれ、未来への不安から自由になる。そして、今日という一日に起こる、すべての出来事を、感謝を持って受け入れ、それを乗り越えていく、無限の力を得るであろう。さあ、諸君、わしの話も、もう終わりじゃ。わしが伝えたかったことは、突き詰めれば、たった一つ、一日は、一生である。腰骨を立てて、今日という一日を、王者のように始めなさい。時を守り、場を清め、礼を正す実践を、奴隷のように忠実に積み重ねなさい。心を静めて書を読み、先人の知恵を血肉となしなさい。そして、その日に起こる一切の出来事を、神の采配として、絶対必然、絶対最善と、感謝して受け入れなさい。どうだ、諸君、これこそが、一日を、一生として生きるということなのだ。この一日を、完全に、燃焼し尽くして生き切った者に、悔いのある一生など、あろうはずがない。その日の終わりに、静かに目を閉じ、今日の我が生涯に、一片の悔いなしと心から言える。そんな一日一日を積み重ねていくこと、それこそが、最高の人生ではないか。今日の君が、明日の君を作る。今日の一日が、君の一生を作るのだ。過去を嘆くな、未来を憂うな。君に与えられているのは、今、この瞬間だけなのだ。この、光り輝く、二度とない今日という一日だけなのだ。だって、今すぐ、その場所から立ち上がり、窓を開けて、新鮮な空気を吸い込み、天に向かって、誓いを立てるのだ。我が人生、今日、この一日より、始める。と、君の魂に、火はついたか。ならば、行け、君の戦場へ。君の一日という、たっとき一生を、力の限り、生き抜きなさい。今日の話が、君の魂に、消えることのない火をつけたなら、チャンネル登録を頼む。さらなる真理の探求、そして人生の勝利を求めるならば、また、この場所で会おうではないか。
There is a process, and there is a gestation process in your vortex too. And we would like now to reveal to you for the first time how long that gestation process is. Ready? That long. That long. That long. That was too long. Esther cannot demonstrate what it is. That's way too long. That was too long too. Way, way, way too long. It's instantaneously. When you ask, it is immediately, because the source within you becomes it. And all things, all cooperative components are there. So the question isn't, how long does it take for it to become in the vortex? The question is, how long does it take you to be ready for what you've put in the vortex? Because if you're complaining, you're not ready. And if you're doubting, you're not ready. So the length of time that it takes from your launching of a desire to your witnessing it in its full material form, how long does it take these thoughts to turn to your things? That's the big question. How long is it going to take for these thoughts to turn to the things I want? It only takes as long as it takes for your thoughts to turn to the things you want. Your consistent thoughts to turn to the thoughts about the things that you want. So when you find yourself talking about what you want in negative fashion, oh, where is it? I've waited so long. It just isn't fair. I'm so uncomfortable. I want it, but it isn't here. Those words are your indication. Those are manifestations of a different evolution of a different thought. So in our desire to help you feel the realness of this vibrational reality, we named it, wrote a book about it, and we said to you, until you could hardly bear to hear it again, just get into the vortex. Just get into the vortex where everything you want is, and you'll see then everything you want. And you said, oh, Abraham, stop spraying frou-frou dust all over us. Can't we talk about something that is real? And we say, it's real. You've just got to develop your sensors to understand that it is. And then you became suspicious. Oh, yeah, we get it. You just want us to be happy in the absence of what we want by pretending that it really is over there. And we said, yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. We want you to be happy in the absence of what you want, in the absence of its manifestation, because we know that in your happiness anyway, in your expectation of it anyway, in your trust of the vibration of it that you can feel with your emotions, even though you can't see it with your other senses, in your belief that it is there, not only will it be, but the fun in which it reveals itself to you, oh, the pleasure of manifestation. Friends, that's what you came for. You came for the pleasure of manifestation. You came as creative genius to sift through this environment and come to your own clarity about what you want, not what somebody else wants, not what your family wants or your village wants or your culture wants, not what somebody else wants, what you want. You are the creator of your own experience, and you get to choose what you want. And when you do choose what you want, you've got to fully commit to the choosing of it. You've got to feel it as if it already is, or it cannot be, you see. So here's this vortex, and you listen to us. You read the book, some of you. You read the book. It's a really good book. You read the book. You read the book. You began to believe. And then you heard us say again and again, get into the vortex, get into the vortex, get into the vortex, get into the vortex. And then you began saying, Abraham, all right already. Just tell me, how do I get my money out of the vortex and into the bank? How does this vibrational reality become something that I can spend, something that I can really count on, something that others can see, something that somebody besides me believes? When's it going to be tangible? And so instead of asking you to get into the vortex, which is just such a lovely place to be, we know we're in your vortex and it's delightful. You are going to be so pleased with yourself about what you've put there. Enough to keep you busy for 20 or 30 lifetimes. Really, joyfully busy. So good in here. We think we'll just stay in your vortex and leave you alone today. Goodbye. How do I get this vibrational reality to be the kind of reality that I really want, the tangible one, the one that I feel like I've come here to live? And we say, it's much simpler than you think. You just have to become, even though you're not in the vortex, you have to become closer and closer and closer to what is in it. You have to believe rather than doubt. You have to feel exhilaration rather than sadness. You have to love rather than hate. You have to be a vibrational match to what's in it and who's in it. You have to be a vibrational match to the source energy who is there, you see. And so now, rather than asking you to get into the vortex, which seemed to stretch your mind further than you were able, we're now saying to you, Become a vibrational match to what's in there, and what's in there will come out where you are. How do I turn the thoughts and the vibrations and the energy of the vortex into the physical equivalent? Well, you just line up with it. What we mean by that is, let's say you want $100,000 and you want it now. Or make it 200,000 or 300,000 or $1 million or whatever it is that you want. Choose it. It's yours. If we were standing in your shoes, we would choose big. You don't choose big because the bigger it is, the more you doubt it, which is just foolish, given what we've just told you. It doesn't matter how big it is. If you believe it, it will be. It is as easy to create a castle as a button. It's just a matter of wanting it and not blocking it with doubtful thoughts. And the reason that you think buttons are easier is because you don't doubt the buttons. You don't push against the button thoughts so much. You look around, there's buttons everywhere, buttons everywhere. Everybody's got a button. There's buttons everywhere. There's boxes of buttons, buttons on the floor, buttons everywhere, buttons. I don't doubt buttons. I know I can have buttons. I just don't want buttons anymore. I don't really want any buttons. I want a fortune. I want a castle. I want magnificent things. Well, it is as easy to create magnificent things as the things that you deem insignificant. But what you must do in either case is not doubt them. So if you don't doubt the insignificant things, they come easily. But the significant things, you say, oh, I have this issue. I have this issue that I want to talk about. And we usually say to you, that's the last thing that we are going to make any progress on, because since it's your issue, it means you've practiced vibrations against it, which means it is not likely, even though we offer perfect words and give you exact answers to every question, every time, no matter what, you can't hear them if you're not in the vibrational vicinity of them, you see. So let's say you want $100,000 and you want it, need it. You want it, and you want it to come quickly. And your logic tells you it's probably not going to come today. In fact, your logic might tell you it's probably not going to come this week or this month or even this year, because your logic is coming from what you've experienced before. And it's hard for you to let go of what has been and expect something new and different. So we're wanting you to, instead of needing the money in order to be happy, and we know you would be, because it's easy to have a conditional response to good news, isn't it? Your banker calls you, got good news. $100,000 was deposited in your account today. And your feeling response would be, this is a very good thing. You might even jump up and down a little bit. Your enthusiasm would be easy to observe. But when we tell you that there is $100,000 and more in your vortex, you don't jump up and down, even though it is as real, because you want to translate it with your physical senses. We want you to translate it emotionally. So this is a very important key. If you can accept that all that you want is in your vortex, and you can reach for the feeling place of it, what does the money mean? The 100,000 or the million or more? What does it mean? What would it mean to you in feeling terms? What would that mean? Would it mean stability? Would it? Come out and play with us. Would it mean stability? And what does stability feel like? Stability feels like freedom, like ease. It feels like fun. But stability is one thing. Fun is another thing. Freedom is another thing. So let's just explore all of them. Stability feels like confidence, feels like sureness. It feels like steady, doesn't it? And freedom feels like exhilaration. It feels like free flowing. It feels like, give us words for freedom. What does freedom feel like? Freedom. Choices. No boundaries is what the absence of freedom doesn't feel like. When you say it feels like no boundaries or feels like freedom from bondage, that's not really getting the vibrational essence of it. But when you say freedom feels like, maybe there aren't even any words, but can you find the feeling of freedom? So you wake up, you've got all this money. What's the first thing that comes to your mind under those conditions? Choices. Choices to do what? Choices to do what? Choices to please yourself, yes? Choices to be what you want to be and do what you want to do and go where you want to go and have what you want to have. That freedom to be, that freedom that you are born being, that freedom that you innately are, that freedom that your inner being is standing in the middle of your vortex, gathering all of the cooperative components that will flesh out to evidence that feeling of freedom to you. So now, we've done a pretty good job of feeling what freedom feels like. And so for a while, you are floating around in the vicinity or inside your vortex. You are in the receptive mode of it. And if you maintain that, then you know what happens with the thoughts that have already turned, those energies and vibrations that have already turned to those thoughts that you just spoke to us. You already began the creative process. You already started turning those vibrations to thoughts and those thoughts to things just with this conversation that we've just had. By the time you are shouting out the feeling of freedom, and you have captured the vibrational essence of what that means to you, can you feel the momentum of what you've got going on? And the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a thought about something. A thought or an impulse, they're the same thing. In other words, a feeling, a strong feeling, an urge to do something, because those thoughts are going to continue to turn to things. And you know what else? The cooperative components that your inner being has already gathered, that law of attraction has gathered, that are there with your inner being. All those people that you're looking for who will dovetail and help you along the way to what you want, they are lining up out there in your, what you want to call future experience. We want to call it your now experience. They're lining up for your discovery, for your realization, for your witnessing of them. Once you let yourself feel the essence of what you're asking for, and let's just face it, you got to feel the essence of it, because you can't translate it into the reality of it yet, can you? Isn't it an essence while it's still a thought? But if you can capture within yourself the feeling of the essence of it, so that you're not feeling the lack of it because you've got the essence of it. You're now no longer feeling the absence of that money because you've got the essence of the money. You can't feel the absence of the money and the essence of the money at the same time. And if you practice that, if the essence of that money is yours, if the essence of that freedom is yours, if that's what you are broadcasting and that's what's coming back to you, oh, the power of what you have accomplished will demonstrate it to yourself over and over and over and over and over again. Abundance of all nature. Good timing will be your experience. Parking places opening for you. People who are accommodating and helpful and nice will be there. Things that you've been looking for, things that you've even forgotten that you want will begin showing up in your experience. Handed to you over and over and over and over and over again as you stand there feeling, maybe for the first time in a long time, more blessed than you've ever felt, because it feels to you, because it is true, the entire universe is assisting you in actualizing what you have put already into your vortex. Oh, so fun to be in your physical shoes. So fun to be a physical manifester. So fun to turn those thoughts to things. So fun to be the witnesser of the creative genius that is you. There is nothing that you are incapable of being or doing or having. It's just a matter of you deciding. And we want you to rest with that word for a moment. Because sometimes you use the word decision incorrectly, because you think you've decided before you have found the vibrational essence of it, and you haven't. Often you are decided against the very thing that your vortex is full of. So a decision is wanting it and believing it. Until you are decisive, until you are wanting and knowing, wanting and trusting, wanting and believing, then you're not going to be the receiver of it. It'll zig and you'll zag. In other words, so many near misses all day, every day. You should see it from our vantage point. It is fun to watch. It's fun to watch as you are honing in on what you want. There it went again. 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 Bingo. And then you say, oh, that was lucky.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Yes?
Yes.
And of course you know exactly what you are wanting. And you have enjoyed ever so much the contrasting process that has brought you to this clear desire? Of course, especially that. You are enjoying your leading edge perspective?
Yes.
You're beginning to settle into the idea that you were born to focus energy? Yes. And that all of the resources of the universe support you, respond to you, answer you. Oh, what a good place you are. And of course, the contrast that sometimes seems to confound you helps you to focus, helps you to clarify. For without a variety of options, some wanted and some not wanted, you could not conclude. In fact, you could not even say what it is you do want if you did not have some reasonable awareness of what you do not want. And as a focuser, you came forth into this leading edge environment knowing it would be so and eager to get to the task of focusing. Not because focusing needed to be done, but because focusing is inevitable. And the satisfaction of focusing is so enormous because in this attraction-based universe, when someone focuses, something happens. In the focusing of your attention, you are concluding individual preferences. So when you conclude an individual preference, source, all manner of energies, answers your conclusion. In your physical human terms, you say, ask and it is given. But sometimes we think that you do not realize that the asking is not a verbal thing. It can be. But the asking is a vibrational thing that sometimes your verbiage matches. In other words, when you say, I want something, it is not your words that are the asking. It's the desire that burns within you. So sometimes a desire for something burns within you. In other words, you'll have clear awareness of what you want, and it's often while you're standing right in the middle of tremendous clarity about what you don't want. What you want and what you don't want are so inextricably tied together. So out of this meshing, molding, mixing process of contemplating what isn't wanted and what is wanted, out of that is born within you a personal preference that is the asking. Sometimes, once that awareness is born within you, whether it's a conscious awareness or a cellular awareness, because there are all levels of consciousness within you who are aware and who are asking, once that awareness is born, Source answers it immediately. Every time, no exceptions. But you, in your human conscious form, sometimes are so aware of the mess you're in. You're sick. There's something happening with your body. Your finances aren't going well. Your relationship isn't what you want. You are so aware of what is that even though you're asking for something different from what is, you don't let in what you really want because you're so involved in being aware of what you've got. So the best way to explain this is a 3-step process. You ask, Source answers, you let it in. But if you keep asking, if you get stuck in step 1, where is it? Why doesn't it come? Why don't they know what they're doing? Why doesn't it happen? Why don't you do something differently? Why doesn't this go away? Why doesn't this come? As you are so aware of where you are, you hold yourself in this vibrational place where you cannot possibly let in what you're asking for because you are so aware of where you are. And just like your radio signals, you can't offer and receive opposite signals or different signals. When you've got your tuner set to 98.6, you're going to receive 98.6. You're not going to get what's on 101. Even though you might like it better, if your tuner's not set there, you're not going to hear it. This is an electrical universe, and you are electrical receivers. And you must align your vibration to your desire. And when you do, with great ease, those things you desire flow easily to you. So no one or nothing or no situation, no circumstance, there has been nothing ever that has ever prevented you from anything you want. Only you. Sometimes you say, Well, it's hard not to notice what is. And we say, it's pleasurable much of the time to notice what is. We're not encouraging you to not notice what is. We're just encouraging you to be more selective about the parts of what is you notice. Here's a multiple choice question. Pick one of the two. Do you choose truth or untruth? Do you choose feeling good or feeling bad? Do you choose truth or feeling good? That's the corker, isn't it? Because as you have trained yourself to be as true as you can be, sometimes you face the reality that is factual, it's truth. There's evidence, there's history, there's an X-ray, there's a past experience. And as you face what is, you hold yourself in vibrational harmony with what is, which means you're out of harmony with what you desire. You cannot get what's on 98.6 if your station is set on 101. So, this workshop is about recognizing that you get to choose. Through time and through your observation of your experience and others, you've developed some vibrational habits. You call them beliefs. We prefer to call them vibrational habits because it makes it easier for you to think about changing them. Someone sat in the hot seat one day talking about some core beliefs. Core beliefs. They sound so core, so unchangeable. And we said, if you want to talk about core beliefs, let's talk about who you really are. You are a lover. You are worthy. You are expecting of all good things. If we're going to talk about core, let's really get back to the core of that which you are. Let's not talk about that stuff you've picked up along this physical trail. Some of it serves you, some of it doesn't. In fact, most of it serves you. We are not wanting to open you up and take out everything that you've learned along your way, a sort of lobotomy procedure. Because there is so much that you have picked up that serves you. Look at the way you live. Your lifestyle is wonderful. Your expectations of well-being are among the best that we see worldwide. But you do have some expectations or habits of thought that you've picked up that aren't serving you and that do not belong within your vibrational pattern. And in most cases, you don't even know how they got there. You just keep perpetuating them sort of because it is. It's like laying your hand on the hot stove and saying, this is really painful. And someone's saying, then why don't you remove your hand? And you say, I don't know, I'm just used to doing it this way. And they say, but doesn't it hurt? And you say, yeah, real bad. And they say, well, why don't you just take your hand off the stove? And you say, well, actually, it's a family thing. My whole family does this. In fact, everybody I know does this. And there have been a few who have removed their hands, but they've been shunned by the community. And so I think it's better to just suffer. What we're wanting you to realize is that you've picked up some patterns of thought that we could call dominant vibrations or dominant thoughts. So when you think about some major subjects in your life, like the subject of dollars, when you think about dollars, however it comes up, whether it's receiving the bills in the mailbox or being in a beautiful place where you're wanting to buy something lovely, when the subject of dollars comes up, does it feel to you, the feeling that moves through you, does that feeling feel like freedom and fun and adventure? Or does the feeling that moves through you feel like worry and hardship and struggle? You can tell right away. You probably have some of all of those feelings, but you know which ones are more often there. When you think about your dominant relationship, does it feel like freedom or bondage? Does it feel like fun or struggle? You can tell which thought you've practiced. When you think about your physical body, do you feel flexible and vital and full of energy? Or do you feel tired and lethargic? Are you optimistic or do you worry? What is your dominant feeling about your body? We want you to sort of pay attention to the way you feel as we are moving through this day, because we want you to come to the realization that the reason that you feel whichever way you feel, is because for whatever reason you've been practicing that way longer and it has become the more dominant vibration. So you are now, because of law of attraction, more likely and more easily able to get there. The reason that the vibration that is dominant on those subjects or any subject is the dominant one is because you've activated that vibration more often. And by activating it, we only mean you gave your attention to it. So we say, you have something going in your experience that you don't want. And we say it's because you keep activating that thought. And you say, well, how do I deactivate that thought? And we say, you can't. You cannot deactivate a thought. Then what do I do? If I've got a thought activated, how do I not activate it? And we say, you activate another thought. Because when you try to deactivate that thought, whatever it is, you don't deactivate it, you activate it. So you have to turn your attention to what you would like to activate. And by giving your attention to it, this is activated and this isn't. So the balance of thought within you, those thoughts that are dominant thoughts, are only the thoughts that you have activated more often. And what begins to happen as you deliberately activate thoughts and develop a vibrational resonance within your own vibratory circulation, so to speak, what happens is thoughts that don't match this more and more dominant vibrational pattern that you're developing, you don't have access to anymore. So things you used to think about and worry about a lot become less a part of your thought process. Now, it's possible that you might run up against someone who will activate it again, temporarily. But those experiences will become fewer and fewer and farther apart until before you know it, you will begin to deliberately, consistently activate vibrations by your choice. Sometimes we hear you, or Esther hears you as she is working on editing a tape or listening to something after the fact. And she will hear you talking about issues that you have lived, sometimes very powerful issues when you were younger. And today, they're still so present in your vibration. Even Esther will find something activated within her that really has nothing to do with her now life. But something will stir it up, and it is so uncomfortable. And then she got all huffed up one day, and she said, Abraham, I can damn well choose my own vibrations. And we said, well, we had hoped you would feel more positive about it than that. But it is a very good first step. In other words, step one, you know what you don't want, which is how you know what you do want, which is your awareness of what you're asking for. So the predominant theme of this gathering here today, that which will assist you more than all other things put together, is if we can help you to understand that you can choose your own vibrational patterns. And when you do choose your own vibrational patterns, you are the deliberate creator of your own experience. The effort that we would ask you to make is not about trying to control your experience, but instead about allowing the well-being that is natural to you to be your experience. Now, here is the basis that you just have to get. We will not leave here until you get it. This is the most important thing that we could ever give to you. Well-being wants you. Well-being is the order of this universe. You have to know that when you look at the way your planet spins in its orbit. Don't you think that's big? Don't you think that's big? And don't you think it's worth thinking about? In other words, think about this platform on which you are creating. Think about the food process. Think about the environment. Think about this environment in which you are focused. It's extraordinary and it's abundant with well-being. And while there may be pockets where well-being has been temporarily disallowed by the activation of thoughts that don't allow it, it does not change the reality that well-being is huge. Well-being wants you.